Okay, let's just jump right in because we are about to witness the birth of a monster. We're going to dive into one of the most provocative openings in all of classic literature and really explore how a few simple, well-placed words can be enough to completely corrupt a soul.
So we're kicking things off with Oscar Wilde's own preface. And this line right here, it's everything. To reveal art and conceal the artist is art's aim. This isn't just a fancy opening, it's the philosophical core of the entire novel. It really sets the stage for a story where art, well, it's not just a pretty thing to look at. It's a vessel for secrets and, yeah, a catalyst for absolute damnation. All right, so our story opens in London, in the studio of a painter named Basil Hallward, and you can almost smell the flowers and the oil paint. He's brilliant, for sure, but as we're about to find out, he is also one deeply troubled guy. And right there, that's the object at the very heart of our story. I mean, look, this isn't just a painting. This is Basil's masterpiece. It's a portrait that seems to have captured something more than just a likeness. It's like he's captured the very soul of this incredibly beautiful young man, Dorian Gray. But here's the thing, there's a problem. His friend, this super witty and cynical guy named Lord Henry Wotton, he comes in and says, "Basil, you have to show this. This will make your career." But Basil just flatly refuses. So the big question is, why? Why would an artist hide his greatest achievement? What's the secret here?
Well, the answer is a pretty startling confession. Basil basically admits that the painting shows way too much, but not about Dorian Gray. No, it's about him. He feels like he's poured his own soul, this strange, almost obsessive worship of Dorian, right onto the canvas for the whole world to see.
And right there, that's the central conflict of the whole story. You've got these two guys, right? On one side, there's Basil. He's all about art being sincere, but he's terrified of anyone seeing his true self. And then you have Lord Henry, who thinks the only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about. It's basically a philosophical tug-of-war between these two powerful men, with Dorian Gray's soul caught right in the middle. So the stage is totally set for a tragedy here. Just as Basil is begging Lord Henry, please don't ever meet him, don't influence him, guess who walks right through the door? Yup, the young man himself, Dorian Gray. You can just hear the panic in Basil's voice. His warning is so immediate, so desperate. He knows what his friend is capable of, how Lord Henry can just twist and reshape a person's entire worldview. But of course, it's already too late. And Lord Henry, wow, he doesn't just ignore Basil's warning, he completely flips it on its head. He's like, oh no, you've got it all wrong. All influence is immoral. He calls it a kind of spiritual theft, where you're replacing someone's real soul with a borrowed one. And then, after saying all that, what does he do? He immediately starts to perform that exact theft on poor, innocent Dorian. Now check this out, because this is where Lord Henry gets really dangerous. He completely inverts traditional morality. He presents sin not as, a bad thing, but as a kind of purification. To him, resisting temptation is what makes the soul sick and poisoned. He says the only way to be truly free is to just give in. And Dorian, he's just listening, completely captivated. He's hanging on every word. And through this, Wilde is really asking us all a pretty profound question. Can a few simple words, just one conversation, actually change a person forever? Can it permanently alter the entire course of a life? And the effect is just instantaneous. It's so profound. The crazy part is, Lord Henry's words don't even feel like they're coming from the outside. For Dorian, it feels like they're unlocking something that was already deep inside him, just waiting to be set free. He says it feels like he's walking on fire. I mean, what a description. But Lord Henry isn't done yet, not by a long shot. He continues this philosophical seduction out in the garden. He's already planted the seed of temptation, right? So now he turns his attention to Dorian's biggest asset and his biggest vulnerability, the one thing he has that's beautiful, powerful, and absolutely destined to fade, his youth. So he introduces Dorian to his personal philosophy, something he calls new hedonism. Now, this is really Wilde tapping into the whole aesthetic movement that was big at the time. The idea of art for art's sake. But Lord Henry takes that idea and applies it to life. He's basically telling Dorian to live purely for new sensations and beautiful experiences, to chase every desire without fear, and to make his own life a masterpiece, with his own beauty as the main event.
And this is Lord Henry's real masterstroke. He doesn't just say, "Oh, being young is great." No. He frames youth as the only thing in the entire world that's worth having. Period. Everything else is just secondary. He takes it from being a temporary phase and makes it the absolute peak of human existence.
And this just lays out the absolutely terrifying timeline that Lord Henry paints for him. He starts with now, this moment where Dorian has this incredible beauty that captivates everyone, but then comes soon, where he says time is going to get jealous and fight against his beauty. And then the future. He tells Dorian he'll become old, horrible, just a grotesque puppet, haunted by what he's lost. I mean, it's brutal.
And you can just imagine the impact. It is absolutely devastating. For the very first time in his sheltered life, Dorian Gray gets it. He understands the horror of aging. And this new terror, this awareness that he's going to decay, well, it's going to change absolutely everything. Okay, so this brings us to the absolute climax of Dorian's corruption. We're talking about the Faustian wish. You know, like the old legend of Faust, the guy who sells his soul to the devil for ultimate power and knowledge. Well, we're about to see how all these terrifying new ideas give birth to a truly monstrous bargain. All right, so we're back in the studio. Basil puts the very last brush stroke on the painting. He steps back, he looks at what he's created, and with just 2 simple words, he declares his masterpiece finished. So Dorian looks at the finished portrait, and all of Lord Henry's words about his fading youth are just screaming in his head. And as he stares at this perfect image of himself, he suddenly sees his own beauty and the fact that it's going to disappear with this shocking, brutal clarity that he has just never felt before.
In that contrast, it becomes completely unbearable. He, the real living person, is doomed to get old and horrible. But the painting, just a thing made of canvas and oil, that will stay young forever. The sheer injustice of it all just completely overwhelms him.
And then, in this moment of just passionate, agonizing despair, he says it. He makes the fateful wish. He offers up the only thing he really has left to give, his soul, in exchange for staying young forever. And that bargain? Well, it seals his destiny. So if you look at the sequence, it just lays it all out perfectly. Step 1, an idea gets planted in his head. That's all Lord Henry's philosophy. Step 2, that idea creates a deep, terrible fear of getting old. And step 3, that fear leads directly to the final soul-selling wish. It's just a chillingly simple, direct path straight to ruin. Really, the rest of the novel is spent answering that very question. And it leaves us wondering, right? Dorian Gray is about to find out the hard way, but what is the true price of eternal youth? If you could stop the clock, what would you be willing to sacrifice?